So let me say, one of the things I love about polling is that conventional wisdom is usually wrong about 95% of the time, plus or minus 5%. And Beltway conventional wisdom, Washington DC conventional wisdom is usually wrong about 110% of the time, plus or minus 5%. One of the things that we saw was that the power of equal rights in the abortion issue. And even though, of course, younger women, well, first of all, as women, we are able to worry about more than one thing at a time. In fact, we are very good multi-worriers as well as multitaskers. And when we actually tested women's leadership traits, and people said, multitasking is a woman's trait. And we said, does that make her a good woman leader? And they said, no, it doesn't make her a leader, but it makes her a woman. So we'll take a half of it loaf, I guess. And for young women in particular, and young women, by the way, we always, often the conventional wisdom and and Ms. has been such a leader in not falling into this, we're very condescending towards younger women, and we treat younger women like they don't know what's going on, when in fact they are the ones who can teach us what's going on. So, for example, in the ERA, which by the way is wildly popular with voters, and younger women are more in favor of it than older women. 78% of younger women support the ERA, 61% of older women support the ERA. It's a no-brainer for younger women. And they're damn pissed that we haven't got equality yet, and they know it firsthand, because they're the ones that are starting to climb the ladder and hit the ceiling. And the sticky floor. But we also know, younger women also know that women's rights and abortion are very strongly tied to economic well-being. This is not, they understand intersectionality. And you can't, how can you thrive economically if you don't have control over your own reproductive choices in your own body?
Winning more women than we lose among men. The good news is that women register to vote at a higher rate than men. Women turn out at a higher rate than men to vote. And this actually goes across all age groups and all other demographic breakdowns. So it gives us an advantage if we can keep driving up women's support of the Harris-Walz ticket based on these key issues that we know move them. And as long as the campaigns are emphasizing these issues, the candidates have to talk about the issues. And the good news is the Democrats have now come to grips and understood the issue of reproductive rights and abortion rights. And so the more they are emphasizing their position on those issues, the better, and that message gets through. And as Celinda said, the Republicans are trying to disguise where they are on this at this point. Although women are not stupid, people are not stupid. They get what's going on. We just have to keep it out there and reminding them.
Started Women's Campaign International, and we've been in 50 different countries all over the world. We do more than just politics. We do a lot of communications. But just to tell you a couple of anecdotes from what we've done. We doubled the number of women in parliament in Malawi. Very exciting. One of our women, Calista Chamumbu Wamutarika, was asked to be on the president's cabinet, and then she married him. So, I mean, I'm telling you how bizarre these kinds of things are around the world. You know, how many of you have been on with us? You've been a lot. A lot over the years. I mean, it's been since 1998, and we've been, and some are political, some are doing healthcare or, you know, financial literacy, whatever it is. Anyway, so what we do is we seize the moment. Calista was the First Lady, so we started a First Ladies Initiative in Africa. And that's what we do. The State Department will get in touch with us and say, we want you to do a communications thing, and so we'll get a grant from the MENA region, Middle East and Northern Africa, with 16 different countries. But the women are amazing. They're astonishing. Some just, you know, we'll go into a village and we'll see what I would see as a journalist as a wonderful picture with, you know, a woman walking down a dirt road with a little girl, and it's just this lovely picture. It means she's picking up water. It means that the child is not being educated, and that she is spending hundreds and hundreds of hours getting water. So what we will do is drill a well. Some of it's just basic.
Celinda, can you talk a little bit about messaging that's working on men? Because I know men are coming around, and I don't know, was it Dobbs? How are they feeling about Harris? Are they okay, seeing a woman in power?
So let me, we'll share it back and forth, thank you. So it's a really complicated question, it's a really good question. And there's a difference between older and younger men, number one, and there's a difference between college educated and non-college educated men. And there's a difference between black men and black women, although black men are the most supportive and they're really coming on board. And then there's a big difference in the Latino community. Latinas are really coming on board. One of the things they're responding to is they really do prioritize the economic messaging. And the job creation, the what jobs pay, the entrepreneurial stuff. The other thing, and this is something that we saw internationally as well, and Marjorie can speak to this, the amount of disinformation and misinformation, particularly when you have a woman candidate, particularly when you have a woman of color, is absolutely unbelievable. And right now, for example, in Arizona and Nevada, we're doing studies on this. The Latino community is getting, and has been for multiple years, so much misinformation. It's stunning, and disembodiment, and faces of women candidates put on different bodies, and scandals that aren't even true. It's just insane, and we're barely refuting it. And we might refute it, and I know there's some folks here who can help us. We might refute it on TikTok, but it's happening on WhatsApp.
Right.
And so, one, men are very subject to a lot of social media pressure, a lot of misinformation, disinformation. Two, they want an economic message, and that includes jobs and what those jobs pay. The notion of having a job that you can raise a family on, one job, is very, very strong with men. So economic messaging, populist economic messaging. One of the things that I think is really good about Harris is she's very populist in her message, and that tests really well.
So, there's several strategies being pursued right now. One is to publish now, but also the surest way to withstand litigation that will come after the ERA is put into the Constitution ultimately, because Congress votes to recognize it. The congressional vote to recognize it is the strongest position to keep the ERA from being yanked back out of the Constitution by Republican attorneys general who oppose the publication under the current way. So to get rid of this question about this time limit once and for all, to get Congress to do what it did on the 14th Amendment, and that is to say the Equal Rights Amendment has been ratified and must be added to the Constitution. That's the strongest position we can take when ultimately the Supreme Court takes this question. But I think we've got to be talking about it in all of these forums here at the Democratic National Convention. Kamala Harris is for the Equal Rights Amendment. There is no question. She is strongly for it. But you heard what Celinda was saying. There's this perception that it's not a current hot issue, and we've got to break through that any way that we can. That women's rights, especially if you talk about the Equal Rights Amendment in conjunction with abortion, is a very compelling issue for voters. And so there's ongoing push. Carolyn Maloney is leading a whole effort right now to get this to happen in this current session of Congress. There's ongoing pushes if we get into the new Congress. So it's going to happen, but only with a major push by all of us, and especially if we can get the presidential campaign to talk about it, even better, even better.